You're listening to the Valley Labor Report with David Story and Jacob Morrison.
As a glimpse from the backseat, Southtown kids waiting for the bus and blurs of white and navy blue. Out past City Wall, each little kingdom fills stucco citadel with tow-headed children. So we file quietly, hush down into the long dark peace.
Labor creates all wealth. All wealth should go to labor. This is the Valley Labor Report. My name is Jacob Morrison, here with my co-host Adam Keller. We got a caller. Joe Marshall he was a member of the steelworkers for a very long time, and he made some good points. And which is that and like I said, this. So to be fair, we are kind of looking at this situation from an outside perspective. I have talked to some of at least one rank and file worker down there, and she does seem to be pretty active. That's Rhonda. But he said that that they were very transparent. That he was when he was on bargaining committees with his union, and there were times when they asked for rank and file input that the rank and file just simply didn't engage. They didn't come to meetings. They didn't, they just didn't engage. And so it's very hard to, and so that's another reason that having a really, really robust kind of democratic participation is difficult, because sometimes people and again, not without reason, they just want to go to work and they just want to go home, and it is easier to let somebody else do everything for you. And I think those of us that are really active in the labor movement have our fair share of complaints about people who are in the rank and file and who don't participate and who don't contribute, and then come negotiations or come vote on, or come election time or something like that, they'll complain and they'll say, oh, why isn't this in there? Why isn't that in there? You didn't do this or you didn't do that. And complaining about the union officials who are the only people who are, and again, I don't know exactly, maybe there's robust rank and file participation, and the union official here at UAW 2069 is totally pushing back against that, or maybe there's something in the middle, or maybe these people got activated by the strike and we'll see them more active going forward. But obviously there's not like there is a tendency, and I don't want to fall into that, of saying that every time somebody does something that seems, as a union official, that seems to maybe be against the workers' interest or something like that, that they've got a bad heart, that they're trying to do the workers wrong, that they're really just in the pocket of the boss, so to speak. Because a lot of times, they're the only folks in their union that are willing to do the work, and that's a really difficult spot to be in if you can't pull in member participation and then to try to do everything to the best of your ability, only to be criticized as a stooge and as all this after putting in a lot of long hours. I know people that have been criticized as union bureaucrats and really terrible people that I actually have a lot of criticisms of myself, but I also know that they have been during a strike that they were negotiating for. They spent night after night after night after night at the union hall on an air mattress in their office. And the first thing that they did in the morning when they woke up, and the last thing that they did in the evening when they went down, was work for the union, work for the membership. And there are a lot of criticisms that I have of the people that I've got in mind, but would I say that those people specifically that I have personal knowledge of are in the pocket of the company, that they're trying to screw over the workers? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. So Joe Marshall called in, and he had a couple other things that he wanted to add. Those were a couple things that you said over the break that I wanted to bring out. So Joe, thank you for calling in, and thank you for listening to the show. I appreciate it.
Hey, thanks, Jacob. Thanks for the show, and I appreciate seeing what I'm gonna categorize as young fellers take up the reins of the labor movement. We certainly need more of that. I'd be considered an old guy now, and probably an old schooler, and I'm sure some things have changed since I retired, but it couldn't have changed that much in that short period of time. But Jacob, you stated what I had told you about as well as I could have done it, if not better. But let me just touch on a couple of things. Transparency, for instance. We tried to be as absolute transparent as we could be during negotiations. Short of putting out newsletters and so forth for the company to read, we didn't do anything like that. We certainly had union meetings monthly, and if it was an ongoing negotiation, we certainly updated the membership where we was at. But there were certain things that went across the table during negotiations that not often, but sometimes got tabled and slid aside for later on in the negotiation. So we didn't want to go back and tell our members, oh, we've achieved this or that, and then the next day, that goes off the table or things change because it's negotiations, a little give and take. But let me when we did have a last final and best offer from the company, we would take that to a special called union meeting, and of course it was to vote on. But this might sound a little strange, but we made our membership, in order to vote, actually come and listen at the proposal and the contract changes. Now, we had members who picked up on little bits and pieces during negotiations out on the shop floor and had made up their mind either way before even hearing the proposal, who basically got fighting mad because they had to attend a meeting approximately an hour to hear what the proposal was, and that really bothered me. But there was a lot of that. So them same members, they want you to be transparent.
Yeah.
But then again, they don't really want to know. They just want to get it over with one way or the other. And I'll get off that subject. But let me say, on the two-tier thing that y'all been discussing, probably the worst thing that I can remember coming down the pipe was two-tier wages. And we had members who basically would say, well, why should I care about the guy that ain't even been hired here yet? Well, here's the real problem in that. If you got an aging workforce, at some point in time, those members on the two-tier, the bottom tier, are going to outnumber the ones on the top. And when a contract proposal comes down and they offer these guys $2 an hour, for instance, to cut the guys on the top $5 an hour, what do you think they're going to do? So people should be concerned about the two-tier, and eventually it'll catch up with you and be your worst nightmare.
Right.
One more thing, the so-called bonuses, the so-called ratification bonuses that these companies throw out there. If there's a ratification bonus in that contract proposal, then you got to know that the true meaning of that is a concession bonus.
Yep.
You take the concessions and we're going to drop this amount of money on you. And most of the time they've done the math to where 3, 5, 6 year contract, whatever it's going to be, don't look like you're losing much. But the minute you make them concessions and take their little $3,500 or whatever ratification bonus, it's gone forever.
Right.
It don't take long for that to catch up with you. You're going to really struggle getting back what you had if that's ever possible. Now, one other thing, and I get off here.
This is great.
This is great.
And and going back for about what you went out for on the first offer. I walked a strike for approximately 8 weeks, and it was over wages at the time. Company was offering basically the industry standard percentage raises year to year, and we literally wasn't going to accept that. We basically wanted 2% more than what they has offered year to year, and we struck. Now, after 8 weeks, people are getting hungry. They're getting antsy. Things ain't going real well. Mm-hmm. International and officers trying to do the best they can to hold the thing together. Fortunately, when I walked that 8-week strike, we had nobody cross the picket line. But when they finally made another proposal, we accepted that basically for what we went out for. Don't sound good on the surface, and it wasn't. We lost a strike in so many words.
Right.
But this was a 3-year contract. When we went to the bargaining table the next time, the very first thing out of the company's lawyer's mouth, I mean, the very first thing was, look, y'all showed y'all manhood last contract, and we showed ours. All we want to do is get a contract. And literally, they slid one concession across the table. We slid it back to them and told them we wasn't interested in it. And it went back in their briefcase, never to come up again. So long story short on that, sometimes where you think you wasn't successful in that strike, in the future, it may very well help you. We actually set a record that next time as far as negotiating and having something delivered to the membership without a concession on it, and it flew about as quick as I ever seen one go, and folks were satisfied.
Yeah.
Now, granted, you still looking at the next contract,
right?
And that next 3-year contract, they're getting their ducks in a row. The company to probably
Joe, we're coming
hit you with some pretty hard concessions the next time.
Right?
But listen, Jacob, I'm gonna get off here, man. Like I say, I appreciate what y'all do. Keep us informed. These are the kind of shows I really like.
Try to act it up. You call the principal J-Rig, act it up. You call the fellas, try to act it up. You call the principal J-Rig, act it up. You call the fire. You call yourself a girl.
All power to the workers. This is the Valley Labor Report. My name is Jacob Morrison, here with my co-host and fellow agitator, Adam Keller. Let's go right into what happened. Well, did you have anything else that you wanted to say?
Yeah, I just wanted to shout out Mr. Marshall. I always love it when our elders, and I mean that with all respect, when our elders call in and share some knowledge they gained over the years. He had a lot of really great stuff in there. The 2-tier is such a massive problem in our contracts. And even those of you who don't have contracts, it's also coming up in retirement packages.
Yeah.
If you are an educator in the state of Alabama, you are subject to a 2-tier retirement pension. So on the one hand, you're kind of lucky. It's a unique situation to still have a defined benefit pension, but that was a major setback for educators and other state employees. And I really, something that resonated with me was also that, quite frankly, sometimes the loudest complainers among your membership are the ones who never come to meetings. They never read the newsletter. They never do anything. But those are the first to get up and gripe about, a contract or a vote.
Oh, yeah. I know that David, if he were here, he'd have some stories.
Yeah.
And even in my short participation, I'm now the chair of the elections committee for my local right now, and we're going through elections. And I've had a few people complain at me, and I'm like, look, man, I'm doing my best, and I'm not getting paid for it, okay? So, chill with your
yeah, I mean, the thing is
complaining about me.
That's the nature of any volunteer organization.
Any work that you do to try to make society better, there are only so many people that are interested in doing it, and if you put yourself on the front, then you're going to get the brunt of it. So.
Yeah, and that's why it is, though, so important to keep always expanding your numbers and getting more people involved so that you don't risk burning out and so that you don't risk folks who do get kind of complacent or comfortable, not through any malice, but just through human nature and just through time passing. So the more you can, continually expand and, have generational diversity, those things are very, very important. So,
and I do think that was a good. I feel like that was a good balance to the first 30 minutes that we spent talking about the Volvo strike, because and I think that there are still I don't think that anything that I said was wrong, but it is a good, but especially for folks that aren't in unions, it's a good context, a good lens for people to have, because that Joe gave us, because we Adam and I and everybody in the audience that are in unions, we have that lens, and so like everything that we say that's critical of officers in the labor movement, of people in the labor movement, it is through that lens, but it's important to say that explicitly, I think. So
yeah, because at the end of the day, I know for you and I, like, our loyalty is with the movement and not the institutions themselves.
Right.
But that said, the institutions, we're always going to defend them from the bosses and the politicians, 100%.
And even, like even like you said, a lackluster union that may have kind of atrophied over time. It is a lot better having that institution there is a lot better than not.
It still gives you a vehicle to create change.
The American Federation of Government Employees, AFGE Local 1858, believes all workers are entitled to fairness, dignity, and respect. AFGE also knows that the best way to guarantee proper treatment is for workers to stand together, united, looking out for each other. In AFGE, we fight for workers every day to ensure a workplace that is safe and free from harassment. If you're a federal employee and want to be a part of this union, to protect yourself and your fellow workers, call 256-876-4880.
If you want to see what we are up to throughout the week and get our snide quips about the news of the day, then you should follow us on social media. We are on Facebook at facebook.com/The Valley Labor Report. We're on Twitter at Labor Reporters. I'm on Twitter at JacobM_AL. And if you missed part of the show and want to go back and watch it later, you can search YouTube for The Valley Labor Report and subscribe to our channel. You can go back and watch the full show there, and we also clip segments and release them throughout the week. We do upload the program on more than 11 different podcasting apps. So to see if we are on your listening platform of choice, you can go to thevalleylaborreport.transistor.fm/subscribe. We've got a website where you can buy our hats and our stickers. Our hats are almost gone, folks. We've only got 15 left. 15 hats left. If you want to get one of those, make sure you go to our website and get you one. That is thevalleylaborreport.org. They are $35. Shipping is included for a good American union-made hat. And finally, if you appreciate our work and you want to help us stay on the air, then consider throwing us a couple dollars a month on patreon.com/The Valley Labor Report.